A shadowy portal appears to your left. A gentleman steps through. He is covered with a cowl over his face, dark cloaked figure, and almost with no warning whatsoever, he raises his hand and a purple blade goes straight through the throat of the gentleman you're questioning. The gentleman beside you lies clearly dead.
Shit.
Oh shit.
Fuck.
Good evening, welcome along to episode 2 of Drathnor Keep. Today we will be continuing with our 1 to 20 campaign, and today we have Kira playing Lucius.
Hello.
Hello. We have Josh playing Maverick.
Hello.
We have Kenna playing... No, we do not. We have Laura playing Kenna. Get it the right way around.
Hello.
We have Matt playing Rook.
Hello.
We have Jamal playing Leovold.
Hello.
And we have Cal playing Brother Alari Slade.
Hello.
And every time I read that name, I want to start singing Christmas songs.
Oh no,
Every
please,
time
no.
I see it, I'm just like... And then I'm just like, no, okay, we're all good. So, just to check some volume things, we are looking okay. The music is very quiet, but this music seems very nice and atmospheric. So we're going to begin with a recap from yesterday. Yeah, sure. We're going to begin with a recap from last week. Last week we began with our party gambling away in the Hall of Games, winning at high card draw. They met a monk who was very curious about their party, Selenar, and introduced themselves. They heard some bitching from Clementine and Elizabeth about them, and they were told that... they were told that Kenvar, one of the fellow nobles, wanted their help with a couple of mischievous tasks. Alamore left a note in a bag of 100 gold pieces for Maverick, which seems to be some kind of hitting on thing. And then you discovered that Celine had a problem with some rats, or more specifically a rat. As you arrived there, you realised that the problem wasn't that she had rats in her cellar, but that she was missing one. Her prize fighting rat, Humphrey. Her student Eldrin had stolen said rat and attempted to clone it. However, what he'd actually done is expand it multiple times and turned it purple and set it loose in the abandoned house. With a little bit of help from Celine, you managed to track down said rat and restrain Eldrin, at which point Celine realised she had the wrong scroll. Hugh Maldranic, the court wizard, who was able to turn up and save the day by shrinking the rat. Eldrin and Iridian have since been punished and returned to their normal sizes, and you went on to which one? Regal Squire Inn, where you went to assist Mikhail with a friendly or overly friendly ghost. When you went up to the room, it was still daytime, so you were not able to speak to her. However, you discovered a necklace where a different person's memory was speaking to you. You weren't given a name, but she said that she was previously a lover of Maldranic, the court wizard. However, this was 1200 years ago, and she and you believed him to be human. We pick up with you guys having taken rest in Mikhail's tavern. And it is sort of 8 p.m. in the evening. You have taken your meal to your rooms, and you are all convening in said shared room, with the possibility of...
You?
Yep.
Right now, on the left side of the screen, I see Warren Strix and Rosalind Storm.
Yeah, that's perfectly normal. It'll happen eventually.
Okay.
It just every time it takes like 20 minutes to load up, and no one knows why. Yeah, that's perfect. But eventually,
right.
Yep.
Yeah.
I certainly see them up to date now. So yes, you convene in said room, and obviously you're needing to speak to this elven ghost during the evening. So I think that's the purpose of you guys staying there, correct? And yeah, take it away.
So, how long do you think it'll take for this apparition to show up?
Did he say what time that it usually showed up?
Maybe after sunset, which was about half an hour ago.
Then we should get going.
How far are we from the room?
12 foot.
Oh.
I mean, you're just in another room in the same corridor, right?
Oh, is it not the room that we're staying in?
No, he wasn't quite that mean. He gave you your own room where you might actually get some sleep.
Mikhail's quite nice. He wouldn't do that to us, no.
Well, if we just waltz in there and there doesn't happen to be a ghost, then, yeah. I would, guess that it's going to be an indeterminate stretch of time, and, we could be there a while. So, did anyone remember to bring cards?
I mean, sundown was a half an hour ago. Wouldn't... I think this would be more Solari's or Olari's wheelhouse.
This can be pretty punctual. I don't see why we don't go ahead and dip our heads in. Maybe play some cards while we wait.
You take a little peek. I'm going to exit the room and head to that the haunted room. I'm gonna put my ear to the door.
Okay, you hear a very strange singing coming from within. It sounds otherworldly.
I'll turn around and just look at everybody. Just
I get up kind of close.
We should go in
So
now.
they're in now. They're in now.
I hear something in there. It's melodic. It's singing. Very strange.
Well, I guess we certainly didn't have to wait very long then at all. So, how's about we just get straight on it?
Do you want to open the door then, Leovold?
If you reckon it's best that I do, then, I could.
So do it already.
I could.
Okay.
Ah.
Okay. It seems. Should I do it?
I open the door.
Someone do it.
Okay, as you go in, there is what appears to be a young elven girl sitting on the bed singing to herself.
Kenna, I was going to do it. I just wanted to see if anyone
I
else
just keep walking.
God damn it,
Eventually.
Kenna! Oh, no, whatever. Okay.
She turns to you and she speaks in a language that, Kenner, I don't believe you would understand.
Common, Elvish, Giant, Primordial.
Yeah, you don't get it. Does anybody here speak Celestial? I mean, I know who speaks Celestial, but do you know that you
Yes.
speak Celestial?
Brother Alari does speak Celestial.
He does indeed. She is singing of her lost love. And as she
it's a
comes
very
to an end of
sad
the song, she greets you. And she says, "Have you come to help?"
I hope so.
Nobody has come who could understand me, but I don't understand. For years I lived in Drathnor Keep, and I spoke the language of the people. And now I speak the language of the people, and nobody understands what I'm saying.
Dear, I think it has been quite a long time since anyone has spoken this language here.
I haven't been dead too long, I don't believe. What year is it? As a test for you.
Oh, why, it's the year that I did not remember to write down last time.
2183.
Oh, I wanted to say it.
2183.
Yes, I mean, it can only be a month or two since I died.
Really?
Yes.
Interesting.
Been waiting for my lover to come by. I just wanted to say goodbye.
What's your name?
My name is Parissus.
Parissus. After about this point, I'm going to just start relaying everything to everybody else.
That's fine. We can assume that a momentary translation system is in place.
Do any of us recognize that name?
No. Which is strange. You've lived in the keep a long time.
Says she's only been dead for 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
Persis, might I ask, who was your lover? Why were you left here?
Tominar. Yes, that's a strange thing. I didn't die here. I was out of the keep on a quest to seek the elves for their assistance in a matter magical, if you would. Even in my death, I would not like to disclose the details of this magical quest. However, I was slain on the road.
Slay.
As I look at her, do I see any type of scarrings or marks, or is she pristine?
Pristine.
Were you
Said
slain?
she was slain on the road. How did she get here?
Who are you asking?
I'm asking Alari for translation.
okay.
To...
We'll assume Alari
can't-
translates. She would say that
Yes,
she does
that
not know.
last.
She does not know. I must have been some 40 miles south. I was on my way to Telluria, where we were seeking the elves. But a strange being appeared in the road. Difficult to describe. He was difficult to look at, in all honesty. He was shining, bright, radiant, in fact. Almost angelic. And he stood forth and raised his hand and asked me if I was pure of heart. And though I wished to say yes, truly, I could not.
So he struck you down.
He didn't appear to move or react in any way, but within moments I was aging so fast, and I withered and died.
Poor thing.
What
Yes,
did
but-
what did the being mean by pure of heart?
I do not know, but certainly I would not describe myself as pure of heart, for I was promised in marriage to Ervon, and yet I was in love with Tomina.
As I search my memory banks, me living here in Drathnor Keep, does Tomina ring a bell to me?
No, but Ervon does. Ervon is a fellow noble. Ervon is totally not the right name. Alright, never mind. We're gonna run with Uldor instead of Ervon, because that is the name. I'm really sorry, I've just confused it with a completely different person. With Uldor, and Uldor is a fellow noble that you would know.
Uldor.
Didn't she
Oh.
say her lover's name?
Yes, this is the point. She was
What's-
promised to Uldor, but she
Uldor.
had been in love for many years with Tomina. And
Who's
therefore,
Parissus?
Parissus is is her,
Is
the
her?
ghost. Yes.
Okay.
Parissus, since you lived in Drathnor Keep, what is your
You
family
don't-
name?
You don't recognize me. No, perhaps not. You see, I was, well, secretive, I think, or sequestered might be a better way of putting it, in the care of Maldranik. I come from Telluria originally. 6 years I lived in Drathnor Keep, and only trips to Tominar were available for me, and those through dimensional portals that I created myself. Here's my lover from Telluria. I was going back to seek the elves, you see. I, of course, am Elven, and that is where I was born. But I was promised to Uldor. However, I asked Maldranik for assistance when my parents thought I was coming for marriage. I never showed up. Instead, asking Maldranik for assistance in hiding because I wanted to continue my relationship. You see, the real reason for my marriage to Uldor was the security of Drathnor Keep itself. It was requested by King Naris, and why my parents couldn't refuse, to have the elven link at Drathnor Keep. However, as long as I was present, then the link was seen as fulfilled. So I had both kept my promise to King Naris and was able to continue my life of love with Tominar. And he was meant to be visiting me soon after my death. And when he didn't find me, I had hoped he would come to Drathnor Keep and find me here. But alas, he has not come, and all I wish is to say goodbye. I've had a very fulfilling life. I'm accepting of death. But not without saying goodbye.
I'm going to walk in the room and just take a and then just investigate around, look through drawers and things of that nature.
Okay, Maverick, you were going to say?
I wasn't particular.
Okay, you just...
but what do you mean by an elven link to the keep?
Well, the keep is primarily human, but Tuluria is renowned for its magical protection, and in many ways keeps Drathnor Keep, it keeps Halgania, the country, fairly safe with their magical prowess, their high elven magic, and this was being offered to Drathnor Keep in exchange for the marriage of a noble. By Naris's request. You wish to look through some drawers and some... I would say no check is necessary. It is very clearly a very basic in-room. There is nothing of any mention. You know, it's just standard empty drawers, closet ready for use, etc.
Okay, just wondering.
Would the thing that she met on the road, would I have recognized that description at all?
It seems to be an angel of some sort, really.
Seems like an angel.
To most people, or at least a race most angelic.
Angels are real?
No, but there are certain angelic races.
Definitely things that people call angels, and those things are real.
Yes. It's fair to say you would know it's an ASMR. You know, that's sort of a given, really. It's a angelic race.
Through Alari, I want to ask her, if he hasn't come here, why have you not traveled to go back home?
I cannot
see if you
travel.
can find him along the road.
My spirit has been bound here, but for what reason I do not know.
Bound to where exactly? Do you know?
Exactly this room. No, I only know that this is a room in the Regal Squire Inn. I mean, I have stayed here before, on my travels to Drathnor Keep. But
And here I thought this was a room that you might have used in the past.
I wouldn't know which room it is. They all look the same to me. But certainly I have stayed in the inn. I know what the rooms look like, and I met Mikhail last night, although he didn't understand me. The most recent innkeeper, I believe. I would hope.
Yeah, that seems...
You're right.
That seems very much so, yeah.
I'm going to walk back over to the rest of the group. Well, we have a few options here. And we could talk we do have a cleric on us, but we could talk to a priest, perhaps. Don't want to exercise her yet. Seems she was wrongfully killed.
I'd have to say I'm pretty against exercising her. I'd like for us to find a way for her to have her pass peacefully.
Precisely. She's not aggressive at all.
Yeah, an ideal solution would be much preferable.
Just a reminder, she did put 2 holes in the ceiling.
This is also true. Thank you, voice in my head.
Just in case you guys forgot from last week, yes, she certainly created a hell of a mess.
I mean, accidents can happen, right? Accidents can sometimes be a little bit more extreme and leave some holes in some rooftops.
Let's follow this line of questioning.
Say I may have done something a little bit similar, or maybe something a little bit worse, maybe something a lot worse on accident.
How about
And that's why you're forgiven.
we ask her what
Kenna,
happened?
yeah. I'm assuming said question comes through Brother Alari, yes? Alari?
Yes.
Is that okay?
Yes, so
Marvelous.
would it be okay if we asked exactly what happened?
What happened when?
Larry will just sort of vaguely point towards the ceiling.
Ah. Yes, I do apologize. I was most frustrated that I couldn't be understood by anybody. And on top of that, I was attempting to get out of this room. I mean, for why my spirit would be bound here, I know not. And so, in life, I had some magical prowess, and I believed that perhaps I might be able to use some of that power within my deathly form to extricate myself, and, well, I know I made a bit of noise and perhaps scared Mikhail's guest, but alas, I do apologize.
That's understandable. I can imagine that'd be deeply frustrating.
Yes.
Persis, is it would it be okay for you to just work with us?
Of course. I'm just going to assume said things are being translated.
Yeah. If you just work with us, perhaps not show yourself to anyone else, but we can ask Mikhail to keep this room for you.
I wish I could not show myself to anybody else. Unfortunately, as soon as the damn sun sets, I have no way of not being here.
Okay, so how about we speak to Mikhail about giving this room and not renting this room to anybody else, which I don't think it's a problem. He already doesn't want to rent it.
Peace would be wonderful.
And just keep this room for you while we try and get you the help you deserve.
Thank you. Most appreciated. The only person who knew of my relationship with Tomanar before my death was Maldranik himself. Perhaps he may have some answers.
His name keeps popping up.
Pretty popular.
It seems so.
Maldronic seems to have a lot of things going on in a lot of different spaces of time.
Wizards.
I would like to go speak to Mikhail.
Does the party join?
Yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
Sure.
Head on down the stairs. Mikhail greets you from behind the bar. Any progress?
Yes. I had just a teeny tiny possible thing here. It seems that it's going to take us a little bit more time to solve your problem.
Well, of course, I didn't expect you to complete it overnight.
Oh, well, thank goodness.
Troublesome ghosts are troublesome. That's why they're called troublesome ghosts.
However, she's going to work with us. I know it may be easy for you. Just want to make sure I run it by you. That's okay. To just not rent that room and leave that room for her for now.
Yes, that'll be absolutely fine. I'm really sorry, guys. Give me 2 seconds. I have a fucking wasp in my room.
Oh.
You just
Roll for initiative.
bugger off. Okay. Okay, go on. Yep, okay, we're good. Sorry, I'm terrified of wasps, and it's just buzzing in my head. I'm like, please leave me alone. Yes, that's absolutely fine.
Terrified of them, so
As
I know
of
the feel.
Mikhail.
And perhaps, how has business been recently?
Well, I mean, apart from this, excellent, in fact.
I was wondering if maybe her singing when the sun goes down couldn't be profitable for you a little.
If anyone could understand the woman, sure.
It is a beautiful song.
It is unearthly, but beautiful.
Just food
It
for
doesn't
thought.
have to be understood to be appreciated.
A good idea, Lucius. I shall advertise it as the singing ghost who cannot be seen.
Thank you. Always looking out for your best interest.
Most appreciated. At this point, it's fair to say that it's sort of 9:30 in the evening, by the way.
Okay, so all things considered, it's probably going to be a bit too late to be able to go take a trip to see if we could speak with Maldranik. I would be guessing.
Yeah, I think he'd be a little upset if we showed up at his doorstep now.
Especially with as many questions as this, so it's probably best to leave the rest of this until tomorrow.
3 Dragon Ante, anybody? A little bit of Dragon's Chest?
I can
that
always
I'd
pass a
enjoy
few
that.
hours.
Didn't we hear that somebody at the Dancing Dryad required some help? Maybe we could get some information. I'm pretty sure it's their business hours.
You are correct, Kenna.
It sounds like their business hours would be very, very long. So,
You are briefly interrupted by a halfling dashing a dagger across the tavern. Oh no, that's not what I'm looking. Okay, I've just rolled a lot of numbers. Let's try that again. That's it. Let's not do that much damage. Sorry. Brother Olari, the dagger hits you in the side of the ear, dealing 1 piercing damage.
Hello, are you okay?
Yes, Ow! It was you.
This isn't the first time I've seen a halfling attack. I swear I'm going to catch him. Or her. Or they.
Violent little buggers.
Yeah, please do catch them. I'd rather not see Alari get pig stepped a good few more times. That's not the most pleasant of things. On the plus side, you know, with another hole in your ear, you could make a piercing out of that thing.
That's what we're looking at it.
Free
I don't know if I
dagger.
want to reward the random attack with a piercing. It seems sort of giving in to terrorism. I'm sorry.
Speaking of said halflings, one has snuck up upon Maverick and passed him a very strange item and then ran off. As you unravel the item, this simple green shirt is the perfect size for the average halfling. When donned, the wearer's range increases by 50 foot when thrown.
Right?
In other words, if you
yeah,
are a
together.
halfling and you wear it, you can be thrown an extra 50 foot. I'm not quite sure how that's going to help you. You're not very halflingish, but... Well, never mind, eh? Perhaps you could stick it on the half-elf. He's quite small.
If that's what I think it is, on the half elf. Really? Really?
You know, perhaps
Are you serious right now?
if the halfling shows up again, perhaps we can offer to him.
Throw him away!
Yep. Whack this shirt on him. Well, rather than a shirt, I'd rather we fashion it into a tunic. But fashion it into something, chuck it on this halfling, pick him up and throw him out the nearest window.
Unfortunately, it appears to have immediately attuned to Maverick.
Oh,
That's sort of how these items work.
interesting.
Anyway, you were
Immediately attuned.
before the halflings rudely interrupted. You were travelling to the Dancing Dryad, were you not?
Yeah, seems so. Seems
Yeah, I
so.
believe so.
The plan to me.
Okay. I've just noticed one of our channel rewards is missing. Just bear with me a second. As you head across the road, the Dancing Dryad is just opposite. You would be able to enter, and Lorelei would greet you. The most beautiful of elves, Lorelei.
Good evening, everyone.
Why, good evening. Lucius, I don't see you here often. What can I do for you? And for all of you. I'm not entirely sure I have enough girls free right now.
We're not here for any service.
Yes, no, thank
Oh,
you.
why, how disappointing.
No, we're here for other reasons. We hear you may need some assistance with some certain things.
Lorelei is not the person who needs help, nor was it announced publicly. Would you, the girl's name is Elvira.
Ah, right.
I believe she asked to be helped discreetly.
Oh.
So let's just rewind 10 seconds, okay?
I didn't catch
I'm not
that.
sure I have an elf free for all of you. A girl free for all of you.
Just looking for one girl,
Oh,
specifically.
and who would that be?
I can't believe I just forgot her name.
Elvira,
Yeah.
Elvira, well, the girl's insatiable, but 6 of you's a bit much.
it's not a social call, Lorelei, I promise.
Ah. Well, she's working right now. A small payment may be in order. Let me see if she's free. And she goes behind the counter and she ruffles through a book and she says, well, I do believe she's free to be called upon right now. If you would like to head up the ivy stairs, just on the right you will see 2 rooms. If you go to the second of the 2 rooms, there is an iris on the door. If you knock gently, Elvira will respond.
Okay.
I can't promise you she'll be wearing any clothing, but, well, that's to be expected in a place like this. As you look around, you notice various girls are dancing in various amounts of clothing and a couple of boys.
For her time, I'm going to just pay her fee.
Ah, of course. Her fee is rather exorbitant, Lucius. Perhaps a small percentage, seeing as you're not using her services directly. Say 5 gold?
That'll be fine.
It's 400 gold pieces a night for Elvira. You may wish to not hand her that money.
I hope it's fucking worth it.
She is truly amazing.
She is.
If it floats someone's boat.
So I guess we're going up to the door with the iris.
Hmm.
Okay.
Lead the way.
As you proceed up the stairs and down the corridor towards her. I'm really sorry, I'm just going to remove the cameras for 2 seconds, because this music is getting very eerie and creepy. Yes, there we go. Strange bells are ringing. You head up the stairs and you knock on the door with the iris. In front of you stands one of the most incredible looking women you've ever seen. Standing just under 6 foot tall, with black hair down to her hips, and the most perfect of bodies. She wears only a corset. She speaks in a voice that rings in sort of harmonious tones, so you hear more than one voice simultaneously almost. She says, "Well, good evening."
Good evening, Elvira.
What may I do for you?
It seems that it's come upon my ears, on all our ears, that you may have a problem.
Ah, come in, come in. All of you, come in. And she gestures you in and she closes the door behind you. And she says, "Well, you see, Lorelei knows of my nature, my true nature, that is, but the clients do not. Please prepare yourself for a surprise." And horns sprout from her head, and a long tail, and a succubus stands before you.
Aye.
She says, "Yes, you see, I've been attempting to live a peaceful life in the material plane, away from the Nine Hells, and away from... Nine Hells? Is that right? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, anyway. And... Well, I have a client, but he wears Demon's Bane when he comes, and it makes me most uncomfortable, and occasionally I have been a little more forceful than is perhaps necessary. However, the problem is, that hasn't put him off. It has merely caused him to come more often. Now, the client is rather... well known. So, suffice to say, I cannot truly... Well, somebody must know. How do I know you guys can keep a secret?
Already trusted us with a pretty big one.
No, unless, say, pretty much one of 3 people knew my true form, I'd kind of be okay. And you have no real reason to disclose that. But... this one's pretty big. Will you swear silence to me?
I'm going to... Is there a more private area we can go to, Elvira?
Nobody can hear through the walls of my room.
Well, it's not really hearing, it's more... I guess it'll be fine. I'm going to remove my coat, fold it, put it to the side, and remove my shirt. On my back, there's a tattoo. In the center, there's a gem. You may not know exactly what this means. However, it's very important. As you showed me,
Secret for a secret.
Precisely.
This is a trade we understand. Well, you see, the gentleman who's been visiting me is none other than Lord Bantus himself, Lord of Drathnor Keep. And, of course, you may well know his wife, Lady Felia, beloved by the people. Here you may see my issue. Now, what I'm looking for is somebody with a little bit of the light hand, if you would, to merely sneak into his room and replace his Demon's Bane stash, which will be on the necklace he wears each evening that he comes to see me, which I believe he keeps on his nightstand, as I have visited his rooms once or twice. He will not be sleeping in his room tonight, and the Lady Felia is out of town. So the only issue will be the lock on his door. If you could replace the Demon's Bane with this, and she holds forth what appears to be Demon's Bane, but is not, then neither he will be none the wiser, and I will not be forced to fight my own form every time he visits. The lock, however, I am not skilled in any arts like that, so must hope that one of you is. It is fair to say he won't be visiting me tonight. I know where he is tonight. And he won't be in his rooms tomorrow night or the night after either. The night after tomorrow he has promised to visit me. And tonight he is visiting his lady, Felia, out of town, as they make a trip together. So perhaps you may have a day and a night to find a way into his rooms. But you must also avoid the mage Maldranik. And that horrible tiefling, Kurkan. Kurkan is the most recent, is a diplomat who has recently joined, who helps the Lord Bantus.
Sorry, what was the name of the tiefling?
Kurkan. Perhaps I will put that paragraph in your notes so you all have that name available.
Jump. Got it.
Would you be willing to do this task for me?
Could we perhaps take a moment to deliberate?
Why, of course. Would you like some privacy?
Be wonderful.
When you would like me to return, please just ring the bell next to my bed. Only I can hear it. And she sort of holds her hand above her head, and then slowly red sparks descend, and she is not present.
Now I see why she's 400.
So I hear the socket is half decent in bed.
Maldranik.
Oh shit, goodbye. My bad. It's not the button I was looking for. Carry on, as you were.
Yeah, Maldranik seems to be appearing a lot.
He's one of the right hands to the Lord of the Keep. It makes sense he has his fingers in basically everything that's happening here.
Killing rats is one thing, but this is dangerous.
This almost sounds like treason. I'm pretty against this, I'm just gonna flat out say.
Yes, this is treasonous. People have been killed for less.
I want to see the replacement that she had there. Is there anything about it that we can tell what it is? Does it that it might be harmful?
Appears completely harmless. It is just not Demon's Bane itself, so the magical effects emanating from it are not the same.
We have some time to decide, but...
Do any of you even think you'd be able to sneak in the first place? I certainly am a little bit too large.
That's far outside of the sort of thing that I'm proficient in, so there's no way I would
I'm a little adept at sleuthing. However, getting past the eyes of Maldranik...
Just to give you a concept, right, because you would know this as a character, the king and the lord and lady's rooms are quite separate to Maldranik's chambers. It is merely, she doesn't want him to see you breaking in. It's not likely that he would be standing outside the door in their chambers, for example. His chambers are on the floor below. The lord and lady share the very top level.
But... But living in the keep, I do know that the path to their chambers is guarded. It is guarded.
But not yeah, sort of. Not directly the corridor itself, but sort of the stairs you would be noticed going up.
Wait, she says she also visits his chambers. He can't just bring her through the keep.
Then she might know a way to get in without being seen.
Yeah, precisely.
Unless she can teleport.
This is also true. But if she could, then wouldn't she be outing herself, essentially?
Doesn't quite look like a lady of the keep, so I'd imagine someone would notice her if she was just walking about.
I mean, she swore 400 nights. I'm sure everyone knows Elvira. I know Elvira.
That's fair enough.
She seems like a lovely person, but also seems like almost right next to associating ourselves with nearly putting the Lord in danger. I mean, if he's wearing Demon's Bane around his neck and he believes that's the case, and suddenly he's not warded against demons anymore, like a thing that'll come up.
Oh, most definitely. This is. There are no shadows about this. This is treason.
If we are successful, though, they will not know it was us.
This is also true.
And if this isn't successful, then someone's going to.
Oh, most definitely. Our heads will be chopped off.
I mean,
Pretty
he
much.
is cheating on his wife.
Can you please bugger off? Go. No. Come here. Go.
And I don't want to come as cynic, but the Lord's cheat.
I'm sorry, my bedroom appears to have turned into a zoo this evening. Various animals disrupt me. Did I miss anything that I needed to be present for? Sorry.
Not really.
No, I was just saying that he's cheating on his wife.
Yes, he is.
We're talking about treason, but he's not exactly.
I just want to point out that treason would be against the king, right? He is not the king.
Treachery of at least some form, then.
Sure, but treachery for someone who can't even be loyal to their wife. Can he even be loyal to Drathnor Keep?
And whether he's loyal or not, he's the man in charge. I'm pretty certain he could have our heads for whether he's a bad person or not.
That's if he finds us.
Oh, of course that's the F.
Maverick, you're
But if
sounding a
things
bit.
go-
No, go.
No, what I'm saying is, well, of course, that's a big assumption. Obviously nothing happens if no one ends up being caught. But if somebody is, then, to say there's hell to pay is, probably rather an apt statement to make, considering the person that we are currently dealing with.
Or not perhaps some other way that we could resolve the situation. I know that it would probably end up pretty bad for Elvira here if she continues on consorting with the king, and while he's wearing Demon's Bane, she's likely to be found out, and that will definitely be bad for her. But perhaps it's time for her to move on. I know there are a lot of other places in the world for a woman as skilled as she is in what she does.
Yeah, I mean, this is the sort of thing that I definitely am not comfortable with going ahead with having any part of. I will say that much. As much as it sucks to have to say this, even if we do this for her, her other problem of, still what she's doing with who she's doing, that problem still remains, and if things go south, then it's going to be very bad for her. It's probably best that we just advise her to not be around Drathnor Keep.
Why is it her fault who her clientele is?
It's not her fault.
You are suggesting that we shove her off, when really it's the Lord who's in the wrong here.
Yeah, but who's one that's going to be listened to?
You think Elvira's gonna leave so easily?
Would hope for her sake, but I can't make that decision for her.
And especially when we consider that right now we're looking at the alternative of doing something very, very much criminal towards somebody of significant power within the keep. That's
Someone
as far
who's
as terrible ideas go, that's about as terrible as a terrible idea gets. I will just say,
Kenna, how do you feel about this?
I don't like it. I don't intend to break into the Lord's chambers.
and even if in this case, as Maverick said, he's a cheat. Who's going to believe us over the Lord?
The lady.
I mean, what would we do in that case? Just like slip her a note or something? Just to find a way
Well-
to slightly let her know that he's a totally unfaithful bastard?
I mean, the brothel might have records of patrons. That would be proof.
Now
I'm
we
pretty sure at his request they would scrub every record clean, especially considering his position of power.
We'd have witnesses, though. He'd have to walk in here and people see him.
And their word is going to be considered over the word of the Lord?
No.
Do you not
So
have
I'm
faith in the
appreciative-
justice system?
Probably pretty lucrative to have the Lord of Drathnor Keep constantly patronizing your establishment. I'm pretty certain that they know.
Now we're getting into something completely different now. We're talking about outing him as a cheater instead of stealing Demon's Bane. An herb to his marital bed. We should be careful.
My thought exactly. It's very much risky, foolish, you name the game.
Rook, Slid, how do you feel?
Instead of trying to replace this item, we could talk to Elvira about figuring out a way how to get this man to stop coming to see her. Instead of going into his room, which would be much more dangerous. Trying to come up with some better kind of plan.
That could be harder because he could be paying most of her rent and more than.
Be better than her somehow getting hurt from all of this.
This is true.
I think we should bring her back in and see how she feels. Or if she has, maybe she'll have a plan of how we can execute this. Because as of now, I don't see any way we get into that room.
There is the fact that we need to talk to Meldronic, whose chambers are nearby.
They
If
are
we
on a separate
actually
floor.
had business there, we might be able to
Would
get a
be
lay of
good
the land
excuse.
of the nearby area.
Yeah. Let us not be too hasty. We do have a few nights, I should say, before Bantis is back. Perhaps we can speak to Meldronic. Maybe he has a way to, dampen the powers of the demon pain whilst in this room. Or something she can keep on her person.
That's a very interesting thought. That could maybe work.
There is potential, but I don't know that Meldronic would be interested at all in helping us.
Doubt it.
I don't know, he seemed to be a bit soft on Leovold.
How much do we truly know about Meldronic? Because I think there's something way more to him than what most people actually know.
We already
He's
know
not human.
there's that, and we know that he has a jilted lover that's stuck in the locket. And
When I
now,
was looking to become furniture.
1100 years ago, remember?
yeah, this is also true. And to also be, how should I say, a mediary for another set of lovers who's also dead in the bedroom.
And now we're dealing with another set of lovers, and we're going to a bedroom.
Themes.
I think that's an omen.
Possibly. Curse of 3. Ménage à trois.
There's all too many bed sheets and not enough sleeping.
So,
Shall we
I-
call her
talk
back
to-
in then?
Yeah.
Okay, as you ring the bell, she is standing between you and the door. Have you come to a decision? I see. You feel it's betraying your king, or your lord.
It's not so much that it's betraying the Lord, it's that this is that which you ask of us is it's far too risky and dangerous for any
Dangerous?
of us to be able to do.
Why is it dangerous?
Breaking into a Lord's room,
Why would you be
we're
caught?
talking. I'm fairly certain his room would. Well, we would certainly be noticed going in and out, so.
Oh, darling. I can teleport you to the door. That is exactly how.
You what?
That is exactly how he visits and how I visited him. It is facilitated by Lorelei.
I slap Leopold on the arm and I say, "See, I told you there was a way."
Well, I mean, the Lord of Drathnor Keep cannot be seen to be visiting a brothel, and he cannot be whisking a strange girl up to his room.
But only outside the door.
Yes, this is for safety purposes. For him.
How does Lorelei know that nobody is going to be able to see the door when the teleportation occurs?
Well, it's safe to say that the court mage himself is aware that the Lord visits the dancing dryad. It is merely the nature of myself that he is not aware of and cannot be aware of.
Well, I think this changes everything.
This does change some things, yeah. Although I'm still concerned about what would happen to you if all of this intrigue starts to unravel.
I can be scarce very quickly. Succubus are not easily slain, merely banished.
Then I very well hope for your own sake you know what you're doing, because I certainly won't want to be in your position with this.
My only fear is that Maldranik would find out I am here, but Lorelei assures me that she has Maldranik quite under her thumb.
Maldranik and Lorelei are into something.
Oh, merely to say that Lorelei knows some of Maldranik's secrets, and he would not wish them known, so...
Interesting. Well,
Has anyone's view on this changed in the light of these most recent of developments then?
well, as for me, I'm always down for what the set wants to do.
Pretty
If
against all
you're-
of this, but I'll go along with you if we feel that this is what we're going to do.
I mean, the risk does seem to be at least moderately diminished.
And of course,
It's still...
if the risk was of him being found out to be visiting me, the fallout is on me, not on you.
True. I mean, it's still not going to be good in any way, shape or form if we get caught in there, so we'll just have to hope that this goes.
I see no reason
As
why
well as
anybody
we're
would be
hoping.
visiting their chambers in the middle of the night.
I feel it would be remiss if we didn't mention that right now we're discussing a favor. What sort of payment
I thought it might
would
come
we
to this.
expect?
Money is always the temptation. Now, I could spare, say, 1,000 gold pieces with relative ease, but perhaps something more interesting.
Nice one, Gunnar.
1,000 gold pieces and, say, a couple of interesting magical items. Maybe a couple of wands for you magical types, and perhaps even a dagger forged in the 9 hells. Should you be interested. This would mean a lot to me. My relationship with Lorelei is extensive and long-standing, and she helps me keep my peaceful manner and demeanor.
So you can teleport us there. How do you teleport us back?
You use the same door.
That's all it is, simply a door?
What appears to be a window outside of the Lord's room, if you open it from the wrong side of the window, is a door. And it leads just here, and she shows you by opening the door, and you can see into a corridor, which is effectively set into her wall, and it appears to be you can see the corridor outside his rooms.
Is there anybody in the corridor?
No, it's empty, completely empty.
The room is sure to be locked. Are any of you capable of breaking in?
That's not something I can do.
Not me.
Not
I
I.
feel like we might need to get some tools.
Yeah.
If simple
I guess I
lockpicks is
could
what you
cast
require,
Mending if you
I
broke
can
it.
assist with that. However, are you skilled enough not only to open the door, but to lock it behind you when you leave?
Can people do that?
I believe it is exactly the same as unlocking the door, except you turn the other way.
As long as you don't break the door, I guess we could. It's possible.
Did your priest not just say he could mend it if you broke it? I worry not about you breaking it, I worry about you standing there like imbeciles outside her door, waving some tools around with nothing happening. Is one of you capable of unlocking a door, or should I supply you with the lockpicks? At this point, I might as well go myself. The only problem is I can't get through the fucking door. Well, actually, why don't I come with you and unlock the door? I can do that. I just cannot cross the threshold. Perhaps I should have thought of this before. I did not expect 6 young adventurers such as yourself to be incapable of unlocking a door, but nevertheless, I can come with you and unlock the door. I just cannot pass the threshold. This is one of Maldranic's spells, and unless I am invited upon the night, I cannot pass. Nor can, for that matter, any other form of magical being.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So not a regular person very much can.
Well, yes, none of you have any
Yes.
magical talents noteworthy enough to be stopped by the door, that is for sure. Don't take it to heart, dear. You're only level 2.
I'm sorry. No, fine, Elvira. I'm just marveling at your beauty, that's all.
Only marginally offended. Only
Perhaps you'd
marginally.
prefer this figure. And she runs a hand over her face. And Lucius, your mother, stands before you.
No.
Or this one? And she appears to be Kenna.
No.
Oh.
I prefer the succubus.
I apologize for the games. And she returns to the beautiful, elvenish, long black-haired lady you first saw.
If we're going to go, let's go.
We'll take the
Alrighty then.
lock-picking
I
tools.
guess we're doing this.
She's offered to come with you and unlock the door. I'm assuming that would be preferable for those of no roguish talent whatsoever. She gestures through the door, and she walks through, and she leans over and fiddles briefly with the lock, and then she steps back and she says, "Good luck, and when you've returned, I will return to lock the door."
Okay.
Who's going through?
You indeed shall.
Not it.
Any volunteers? Anyone?
I will.
Okay. And I'll try to at least keep watch and try to listen out for anyone.
I'll do the same.
Yeah, I'll also keep watch.
Okay, so only Maverick is going through the main door.
I hand him the replacement Demon's Bane.
Thank you.
I'm also going to just quickly cast guidance on him.
Thank you.
Maverick, the door before you stands unlocked.
Oh, I open it.
And there you see, sitting right in front of you, the Lord Bantus himself. Oh, young Maverick. How unusual. I believe the door is locked. What brings you here? Oh dear.
I apologize, my lord.
Yes, I thought you might.
I only meant to come and ask you a question. I know it is late at night. I can come back another time if you'd prefer.
You somehow missed the memo that the rest of the court got that I would be out of town for 3 days.
Oh, I apologize. I never received such information.
And the guards at the bottom of the stairs instructed to turn everybody away from my doors? They were blinded by your beauty?
I did not see any guards. They might have been on another patrol.
Make a deception check, please.
14?
Or they may have been standing exactly where they were instructed to, for you did not come up the corridor, did you? And by chance, what is that in your hand?
My hands are in my pockets.
And he holds out a necklace with Demon's Bane on it and said, "Are you by any chance holding something remarkably similar to this?"
No.
Make another deception check.
Oh no.
9?
Abort!
He turns to the mirror and he says, "Maldranik, if you would join us." And through the mirror steps said Court Wizard Maldranik. And he turns to you, Maverick, and he says, "I suggest that nothing but truth fall from your lips for the next few minutes, young man. For right now you are not in trouble, but momentarily you may be. For what purpose did you come to the Lord Bantus's door this evening?"
The Lord has gotten his hands dirty.
"Yes, the Lady Elvira, I believe."
Yes, I was helping her clean up his mess.
"A mess, perhaps. But a necessary one. Well, the Lord's pleasures may not be entirely necessary, but are entirely up to him. Perhaps it will ease your mind if I told you that Lady Fellier is well aware of his visits."
Does he sound like he's telling the truth?
Maverick, do an insight check.
Oh, fucking 3.
He looks to you and he says, "Perhaps I see a problem here. The Lord doubts some of the words that come out of your mouth. You, of course, have no reason to believe any of us. You are not born in this keep. Perhaps you know a little less of us. Allow me to assist." And he rolls his arms, and a large purple ring is set beneath both yours and his feet. "Only Maldranik, not the Lord." And he says, "This here is a zone of truth. Words in here that are spoken may only be true for both of us." And you would recognize, Maverick, that this is a true casting. Now, the Lady Fellier is well aware of the Lord Bantus's visits. She is also unable to entertain him in a similar manner, if you would. Ever since the birth of their second child, she has been incapable of sharing a night with him, and so he goes to the House of Pleasures, if you would. Now, it wasn't until we suspected that perhaps Elvira was not the most natural of beings that I was informed of this. However, the doorway I assisted in It is only that I was informed that Elvira may not be natural. The Lord said she had unnatural strength, and sometimes appeared to have red eyes during their lovemaking. A succubus, I assume. Is that correct? I should tell you, Maverick, you are incapable of lying in this circle.
Yeah, but can I be vague?
You can either say nothing or be vague, yes?
Perhaps.
I understand you do not want to disclose the nature of your client. And work perhaps is a little scarce to come by for you lads. Perhaps I should find some more entertaining tasks for you than dealing with the gossip of the keep. However, perhaps we can make this a little easier if you would come with me, young Maverick.
Or what?
I didn't really mean that as a question, and he takes your arm and guides you with him out of the room and back through the window into the succubus's room. And all of you are standing there. Oh, most exciting. Young Kenna, Brother Alari... Well, that's a surprise. Brother Alari in a whore's room, who would have known? Young Rook, Leovold, Lucius, greetings.
I give a bow.
Lady Elvira. And he quickly jolts his hand out, and she appears restrained in some manner. She is incapable of moving and appeared to be in the midst of casting a spell. Why did you not come clean about your true nature, Elvira? She responds that perhaps the Lord of Drathnor Keep, or the renowned wizard Maldranic, who is known to be fairly ruthless, may not approve of a succubus living in their whorehouse. Maldranic laughs and he says, "I have far more important things to worry about. If you wish to continue your relationship with the Lord, he will not be wearing his demon's bane from now on. I merely wish to know the true nature of you. However, you may find yourself restricted in some other manners. Now, if you don't mind, I would like to speak to these children in private. You may wait." And then he gestures and she sort of moves through the wall. Elsewhere. Elsewhere, he says. Now, youngsters, I see perhaps you thought you were doing a lady a kind turn, but assorting with demons is not necessarily recommended within the keep for anyone, including the Lord himself. You may wonder why I am suggesting that this relationship may continue, why the Lord himself would want to make love to a demon.
She is talented.
That I'm sure she is. However, perhaps the secret should be known to some of you. All of you. Perhaps. You see...
Are you certain about this?
Well... I see not how it would do any harm, for no one would believe you should you tell anyone else, and of course who would believe your word over mine or the Lord's. However, you may wish to know that the Lord and Lady and myself are not exactly as we always may seem. And whilst my true form may be slightly different to the Lord and Lady's, it is fair to say that the Lord and Lady are, well, unusual.
You mean not entirely human?
Oh, not a human at all, for that matter. You may wish to know that the king knows of this. The King Naris himself has put the Lord and Lady in charge of the keep for that very reason, for we stand threatened over the border. Though, of course, you are not to know that either. But, well, seeing as we're revealing all the state secrets to 86 children, I think that's enough information in some senses, but perhaps if you are willing to help out with the occasional favor, in return, some secrets may be made known to you.
Why?
Well, needless to say, the group of you are young, impressionable. Some of you are fairly talented in your own ways, and I see some great potential within you. And you are the future of this keep, and perhaps of this country. Are you not? Take you, Maverick. You were tasked to come here alone, were you not? Given a quest by the Raven Queen herself.
What of it?
Do you know the work your parents were sent to do?
Yes.
Do you?
Yes.
Do you care to inform me of the nature of their work? Or perhaps you would like
I
me
don't
to
care to inform you of anything.
Well, it's fair to say that the Raven Queen has been keeping a sharp eye on the Shadow Vale for a while, although perhaps that is not a name you know. Dark forces are at work within this country.
Don't speak in riddles. If you're going to say something, then say it.
My, quite the mouth on you, young lad.
I'm going
Well?
to put my hand on Maverick's shoulder.
He has a point.
He does have a point, I will give you that. I am giving you half-truths, half-lies, half-deceptions, and half-riddles, but would you prefer that I just invited you into the Lord's Chamber and decided to disclose to all of you all of the secrets of the King himself, and those of the Raven Queen, and perhaps all sorts of other things that do not concern mortals such as yourself? Or would
No,
you like to
I-
assist somewhat, and perhaps be rewarded in time, and maybe find some very interesting things along the way, and perhaps grow to be the future of this nation?
No, I'd prefer that you said why you're doing all of this.
I have told you quite straight that I believe you could be the future of this nation.
I don't believe you.
Well, that's very well. What of the rest of you?
I believe that a few minutes ago I was fairly certain that we were all about to lose our heads, and that this seems like a better alternative.
Oh, we don't behead children for putting their hands where they don't mean to. And removing certain memories would not be the most difficult task for a mage such as myself. So, realistically, we did have somewhat more gentle options. Perhaps you need a true show of truth from me. My young maverick, would that assist in this decision-making?
In what manner?
I'm going to step forward.
Yes. Head of your own household, capable of making your own decisions these days. What do you say?
I must say I am interested. My father has always told me to keep Drathnor Keep safe as possible. And, well, he lived for the keep. I myself live for it as well.
Well, I am bound into the form that you see me in now, so telling you my true form would not particularly interest me, nor would I be able to prove it in the slightest. However, if you will, and he reaches his hand through the door and gestures in some manner, and the Lord Banter steps into the room. And he turns to Lord Banter. He says, "My lord, perhaps doubt is upon these children. They wish to see something of the truth. If you are willing." And the Lord considers himself and nods. And he removes a collar from his neck, a torque, if you would. The royal torque, as far as you are aware. And as he removes this torque, before you stands a shining celestial ASMR.
Well,
And he speaks in a deep, thrumming voice, and he says, "Perhaps this may assist. 600 years we have defended Helgania, and the Shadow Vale are persistent, and now they are present in this continent, if perhaps not this country yet. The elves of Trelia and ourselves and Maldranik here do a lot to keep the Shadow Vale at bay. Your queen, young man," and she stares directly at Maverick, "has done a lot to keep the Shadow Vale at bay, and suspicion away from her door, I might add. False suspicion. The Shaddarkai are noble, if not a little questionable in their morals occasionally. It is I that have been concealing many things from you all, and perhaps you may now see why consorting with a demon is not particularly a problem for me. But it's instead a wonderful source of information if she is now aware of that I am aware of her nature. Perhaps she may ask some questions from me in exchange for being allowed to stay in my keep. Now, if you would, this is a bit exciting." And he puts his talk back on. He says, "I think I will retire to my rooms, where I am taking a 3-day trip to Teloria, if you will remember, children."
You go there often.
Sometimes I go, sometimes I appear to go. That is true.
Meet many people on the road?
Ah. You refer to the Lady Parissus. Yes.
What makes you think that?
Well, only she could have told you that a Celestial, or ASMR, has stopped her on the road. And I don't think I've met anybody else on the road recently, as I don't normally travel the road at all. And certainly my wife is not prone to randomly appearing to strangers. The Lady Parissus had a secret that the Elves of Telluria could not know. And unfortunately, you may also not know quite yet, as your minds are not as impervious to the intrusive magic of others as some others may need to be. Needless to say, I did not kill her.
How did she pass, then?
She died to the Shadow Veil, but I was attempting to keep her from harm in the process, and for that reason, instead of her staying in their captivity, she aged excessively quickly. So I suppose you could say I did kill her, but only in protection of us. I cannot confront the Shadow Veil directly, not yet. Not alone, most certainly.
If you believe her dead, and you also believe that she told us, you know what's happened to her.
Why, yes, I, as I said, it effectively killed her myself. And the Lady Parissus, her ghost was wandering the town, looking for her lover, so we bound her to a ring that should be given to her lover. But the fact you've spoken to her implies that perhaps not one of you is who she was promised to. Now, I do not know who she was promised to, but do you? Sorry, not promised to. Who she... My apologies, DM issues.
It's okay.
Who her lover was.
My lord, if you don't mind me asking, where's the ring now?
I would assume wherever you found the girl. I had thought that one of you would have been given the ring, and therefore... How did you find out about Parissus?
Parissus is currently haunting an inn in town, not too far from here.
Oh my.
And her lover, a young man named Tomas, is nowhere to be seen.
How long ago did this all happen, then?
A month,
I'm sure you would
a month, perhaps 6 weeks.
Oh, okay.
Thomas is not a name known to me. It's not known to you either. Tominar? Is that the name you're looking for? Yes.
It's Tominar.
Tominar is not a name known to me, but it sounds like an elf of Telluria, and that would explain her regular trips there, and perhaps might mean that our secret is already out. Well, Dranik, if you would, check on this afterwards. But in the meantime, the ring was given to a person very close to the crown who is most secure and most safe. I will ask some questions, and perhaps Maldranik may let you know soon how this ring has escaped the possession of the person who owns it, for I assure you they are not a regular visitor to either tavern in town.
I don't know how to ask this. Is there any sense that they're lying as they're saying this? I just want to get like a sort of a general...
Let's just say, for the sake of propriety, that Maldranik brought said zone of truth with him. I did actually mean to do that. So cool. It is, these are definitely true words. And realistically, they have no reason to lie to you when they could just modify your memory.
Well...
Oh yeah, definitely no reason.
This has certainly been a night.
Yes, it has, and I will be returning to my chambers. I will leave you in the capable of company of Maldranik here. And with that, the Lord steps directly through the portal. And
I bow. Good night, Lord Bentis.
The portal in the wall appears to disappear almost instantaneously, and Maldranik waves his hand and says, well, perhaps we need something that you people are not so aware of, and perhaps something a little more direct now. I mentioned that perhaps I might have some work for you, young men, and ladies, should you be willing. It may give you some interesting insights to the working of the court, perhaps give you some chances for furthering your social and professional careers. And it
Well,
may
if
allow you
it's a
to
night-
do some traveling.
If it's a night like this, of getting in this sort of trouble, then it's not something I would very much like to repeat.
Well, I
I'd
think we'd
rather
start you off a
not-
little more simple than trying to come between a succubus and a celestial lord masquerading as your lord. Perhaps simply delivering a missive or exploring a particularly interesting cave up north, which is nothing major enough for me to check out, but some goblins have taken residence, if you would, and unfortunately there are some wonderful fungus in that cave that are very useful in some of my spells, and if you would kindly dispatch said goblins and collect some mushrooms, a great reward I am willing to give you. Also, speaking of rewards, I'm assuming the Lady Elvira promised you a reward?
I did.
Yes.
Shall we convince her to hand it to you nonetheless?
We did muck things up quite a bit.
Well,
However, it does seem her problems might be over.
in that
That's-
case, one could consider your quest complete. Elvira! And he grabs sort of a tether and she comes whipping into the room to stand restrained before you. And he says, well, you and I have a lot to speak of, but in the meantime, I would like to convince you that should you wish to maintain your presence on the material plane, perhaps you may reward these youngsters as you had previously promised. What did you promise them, Succubi? And she sort of looks down and she hands over a dagger and a pouch holding 1,000 gold pieces and a wand. She says, this is what I promised them. And Maldranik takes the dagger and the wand, and he looks at the wand and he says, well, this is fairly harmless and usable by many of you, and he hands it to Brother Alari and says, this is a wand of identification. Any of you who wish to use it, be my guest. And then he takes the dagger and he sort of jumps back a little bit and he goes, well, this is a little inappropriate for a child, is it not? Succubus, did you not think this through? I'm assuming you would not particularly like a cursed dagger. And he hands it back to her and says, perhaps you have something more appropriate? And she unravels a whip from her side and hands it over very begrudgingly. And he takes it and he nods to himself and says, well, this they may find useful. And he hands it over to you, Maverick, and says, this whip here is a whip of infernal chains. It has some extra fiery properties when used, and it is capable of casting some spells which you may discover along the way if magic is your thing, as I know that it occasionally can be. You won't find it on D&D Beyond, darling. I'll hand it to you in the break. Perhaps this is slightly more preferable than a dagger forged in the Nine Hells. Did she tell you what she was going to give you? Well,
Some kind of-
Succubus.
All I can say is it was some kind of dagger. That was all I was aware of. Why? What's so peculiar about that thing?
Any damage you do with the
Why-
dagger is also done to the wielder. Perhaps a cruel trick of the demon. But not particularly
Well, that's
useful to
rude.
you. Yes, a tad rude, I agree, and whilst the succubuses take great pleasure in any pain they deal themselves, the same cannot be said for the mortal strain. Now, Elvira, I am going to permit you to stay on the material plane, but the details of that arrangement I will make with just you, as opposed to in front of these youngsters. Youngsters, if you would mind making yourself scarce, unless there is anything else I can do for you.
I have one question, Maldranik.
Why, yes.
Immortality. Do you know a way to give it to somebody?
What an interesting question. Perhaps you have no idea of the price. But yes, I know a way. Why do you ask, Lucius?
Never mind.
The price of lichdom is quite something, and it is not something that I have experienced. If you are curious as to my true form, that is not it. Anything else? Leovold, you were going to say something?
There are a great, well, either a few or a great many things I would like to ask, but
Perhaps we can
Those
adjourn,
can
considering
wait.
the time, and would you like to come to my chambers at 6 p.m. tomorrow evening? Perhaps A meal may be prepared, and we may discuss any questions you may have, and perhaps some of the natures of your duties, and perhaps I may tell you a few things that you may wish to learn.
I would very much appreciate that. And in regards to the tasks that you would like to ask of me, and I'm hoping my friends here as well with the goblins, I would certainly much rather do that than be in significant trouble with the keep in future. So yes, that also sounds.
Perhaps the next time a demon asks you to help out, you might just come and let me know.
Yeah, that's probably a much better idea.
The struggling demon in the corner lashes out, and the dagger she was previously trying to give you strikes Rook in the shoulder, dealing 2 piercing damage. She, a similar wound appears on her old shoulder, and she sort of begins to wince in pain, but then sort of shudders in pleasure. Maverick sort of pins her to the wall with quite a lot of force and says, "Perhaps you and I may speak of many things in our contract. Alas, children, if you'd like to make yourself scarce, would that be okay?"
Maybe go out the way we came in.
Yeah.
That would be suggested.
Let's.
And when you are on your way out, if you'd ask the Lady Lorelei to come to Elvira's room, perhaps she should be aware too.
Which is fine. I'll give a deep bow, but not take my eyes off of Madronic.
And with that, I shall assume you're returning to the tavern and to then take rest. Yes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
We shall take a short break. Thank you for being here. Thank you for throwing daggers at my friends.
And just before
And I will
we go,
yeah. Go on.
just before we go, I turn to Maverick on the way out and say one thing.
Yeah, go on.
I hope we're not keeping count of how many times you were right.
I hope so too.
Remind me never to doubt you.
Good note to take a break on. We'll return in approximately 10 minutes. So we resume in the tavern the following morning. You have a meeting with Maldranic this evening at 6 p.m, but in the meantime, you have some free time. Yeah, there we go, we have sound. I see sound now.
Ah.
Okay, cool.
Does anybody have an explanation? I mean, what? Okay, right, that makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. Our party are currently in combat with a gentleman trying to steal away with what could potentially be some stolen goods, and he has just slashed at Kenna's wrists and done 4 damage. And that leads us to Leovold.
Okay, now, my question for you. How unstable are we feeling on a regular instability? Just like a 3? Or maybe a 4? What do you reckon? 3 or a 4?
How happy are you today?
Regular normal day, not so bad.
Yeah, I'd say 2.
A 2.
Yeah.
So a 2 plus the base 1 plus the base 1 for this spell. Right, let's go for it. I'm going to unleash a torrent of conflicting desires in the mind of my opposition, impairing its ability to make decision. Target must succeed on a wisdom saving throw of a DC of... what is the DC on this? It doesn't say.
Be your spell
Wisdom
DC.
saving throw or be incapacitated.
What is your spell casting stat, please, your modifier?
I think the save would be a 14.
Thank you.
It doesn't say explicitly on the spell, but I'm basing it on what the Mind Sliver DC save would be.
So 14, you say, yeah?
Yeah. On a wisdom save.
Okay, let's find out.
And I shall roll my D20. Anything 4 or below.
That's a 23.
Oh dear. 2.
Sorry, just nat 20 Raz.
Okay. So. Now. The magic goes a little bit awry.
Oh dear.
Let's see. How nuisance is this going to be? This is a 10, so it's going to be a nuisance. Now then. What goes wrong?
Oh, Leopold,
And
what
it's
have you done?
85.
Your party is
creature of
immediately
my choice
teleported
gains
to
a
the celestial
+1
plane.
bonus to attack rolls, damage rolls, and its AC for 1 minute. So I'm going to go with I'm going to give Kenna a little bit of a boon.
Okay.
+1 to attack rolls, damage rolls, and AC for a minute.
Cool.
Hey.
And that leads us to Alari.
I'm going to approach the group. Alari is going to take out his small sort of tuning fork. That is his holy symbol. I'm going to hit it on a piece of metal and cast Command.
Okay. Saving throw.
A DC 14 Wisdom save.
That's an 11.
All right. Freeze.
He does so.
Anybody have some rope? Anyone?
Yep. I got 50 feet of it, so, here. Feel free to borrow mine.
I will.
Trust
If
him
I
up.
have, if I have any, if you allow me, I'll tie him up, or anybody can tie him up.
Well, I'll gladly assist you with it. So, let's do it. He can't move, so he's not going to be able to resist us.
Okay, you've tied him up in all sorts of knots.
Pull the bag out of his hand.
I'm going to be dusting off my coat.
There is a bag in his hand?
Oh, there was.
Like,
a bag
I
on
grabbed
back,
his
wasn't
tack.
Oh, you mean his backpack? Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, so
Yeah.
you take it off his back, yeah.
I start looking through it to see if the ring is inside.
You find a cloak and a pair of pants. That's all.
Okay, I'd like to sit myself down in front of him and look at him and say to him, it's going to be in your best interests to be completely honest with us about this, okay? Because the way you're packing up to run there is very suspicious, my friend.
I'm under a freeze command right now.
Oh, he can't speak
Yeah,
at
he's
all.
gonna be like that for a little bit.
He's
Okay.
rather incapable of doing anything right now.
Well, for when you can talk, just keep that in mind, okay? It's well in your best interests to be cooperative and, let's just say, not resisting this, okay?
At this moment, a large group of people are sort of surrounding you, and now the town's guard are sort of walking through, looking sort of a little bit affronted that they were not called a little bit earlier.
I'd like
Leopold, what
to,
are you doing to this gentleman?
Oh, hello. I'm sorry we weren't
Yes,
able
hello,
to come
spit it
and,
out. What are you
sorry
doing
we
to
weren't
him?
able to come and get you. We believe...
This gentleman was attempting to jump out the window without paying his inn fee.
And we believe there may be stolen goods involved. So, I apologise we weren't able to come and get you first, but we had to act very quickly and decisively.
Oh,
hope you
vigilantes.
understand.
Well, at least you didn't get yourselves hurt, did you?
Not anything too badly. We'll be okay. We'll be okay.
Right, very well.
If you,
Assuming you
wouldn't mind,
also
we would
want to be
like
present for the
take a moment-
questioning.
If
Come
you
on,
don't
then.
mind, could we take a few moments to talk to him first before you do your thing?
Well, first of all, we can't have him tied up like he's some kind of cat toy, if you wouldn't mind. And he slices the ropes, and then he takes out his handcuffs and handcuffs the gentleman behind his back and hauls him to his knees, and then says, "Can I take your name, sir?" And the man kind of goes, and that's about all he can get out of him.
He's
Care to
currently
explain?
he's currently under a spell. He won't be able to talk for
Oh, not
a few
magic.
moments.
He
It'll only be a minute, sir. It'll only be a minute.
He turns to his colleague and he goes, "Can you blow that damn whistle?" And the guy takes a small whistle out and and no noise happens. As far as you know, nothing has happened.
Do it. I'm sure I know this god.
You would, yes.
If possible, we're just going to question him and then we'll bring him by the guardhouse. And you can have him from
I
there.
can't have somebody under suspicion of theft just chilling with you guys. I will be standing with you, but yeah, we can take him where you please, but if you would you come with me and we can take him to... we can take him to somebody who might be able to undo your handiwork. At this point, a young lady who you recognize immediately to be... I wish I had the name to hand. To be Danietta arrives, and Maldranik has sent me today. What magical issue do you have? And the guard explains this gentleman appears to be under some kind of spell, and she turns to... Did anybody here cast the spell?
Cough.
And what exactly have you done to him? Oh shit, Jesus, that was loud.
More of an invocation, really.
Yes. Spit it out.
I
What have you
suggested
done?
that he stop moving with the command spell.
You command... Right, okay. Not a problem. And she searches through a large pouch, and she eventually finds a particular wand. She waves it on the gentleman, who then is very free and goes, "Oh, well, finally! What? I could hear people coming up to my room, and I'd been attacked by a ghost, and last night somebody came to my room and tried to kill me, and now..."
Somebody came to your room and tried to kill you?
Yes! Some strange-looking elf came to my room, opened my door in the middle of the night. Luckily, I was in my meditation, and I was able to fight him to a standstill, and he fled into the night, and this morning, the next time I heard people coming up to my room, I thought I better make a quick escape.
Well, I'm terribly sorry that happened to you.
And then you buffoons tie me up without allowing me to speak for myself. And this one attacked me, and he gestures towards Kenna.
Okay, well, I can only apologise because there have been things going missing.
Can we go backwards here? Why are you asking me questions and not the guard here? Who are you?
My name's is Leovold. I am investigating the disappearance of a certain number of objects. Things such as braces.
I'm assuming you
jewelry,
currently have my backpack?
money. Yes, we have your backpack here.
Did you find anything in it?
If you don't mind me asking real
My
quick.
cape and my spare pants. And if you'd like to look in this pouch, and he takes a pouch from his hip, here you will find my coin purse, which doesn't contain any mystical or missing items. It merely contains coins, as you might expect. And here you will find, and then he takes out what is sort of a large trouser leg pouch. As here you will find a pair of gloves and some tools of my trade, if you would, and what you see is a sort of jewelry inspecting, crafting gear.
I'm just currently just watching over him. I just want to make sure that he's only up and up just a bit.
Yes. He just seems a little disheveled right now. Slightly irritated.
Genuinely scared that.
Okay. I'm just gonna step forward and just like slightly dust him off. I'm so sorry for this to happen. Could I possibly buy you a drink?
In the middle of town while I'm in handcuffs? I'd rather get this problem sorted out. And who are you? And is anybody going to explain to me why you people are asking these questions? What are you looking for?
We're looking for a particular ring.
He takes a ring from his hand and he holds it up and he said, "Is it this ring you're looking for?"
What's it like?
It's silver with various inscriptions.
How long have you had it?
24, maybe 48 hours? 48 hours, to be exact. I was asked to respect it, and I put it on my hand while I was holding it, because, you know, I mean, it's a better way than losing it. I often wear clients' jewelry if possible when I'm inspecting it. It seemed like the most safe place to keep it.
How did you come into possession of this ring, if you don't mind me asking?
How nice. We're starting with normal questions like, hello, what's your name? Where are you from? Who are you? Why are you here? Those sorts of things. I'm
Could
Cullen.
have done that, but you jumped out the window.
I jumped out the window because I thought you were coming to kill me, and then this girl tried to prove it.
I did nothing but try to keep you from running. You are the one who pulled out a weapon.
Well, I'm sorry. The last one who came at me attacked me. You grabbed my pack and pulled me roughly over, and I see there's been a misunderstanding regardless.
To be truthful, I did punch him in the face.
And I'm terribly
My name is
sorry
Cullen.
for this whole
I am inspector of jewels and jewelry. I'm a prospector. I work for Maldranik here occasionally, but that is not who gave me this ring. The person who gave me the ring came upon my room the first night I arrived. We had been talking in the tavern the previous evening. He was a strange-looking elf, a little quiet, but can't say I recognized him, and I've been around town quite a lot. But he asked me if I'd take a look at the ring and let him know if it had any magical properties. He said he'd been feeling chills and been hearing voices in his head overnight. But nothing of the sort has happened to me. I merely, inspected it, and it seems to be a fairly normal silver ring, although some magical properties seem to be present, but what they are I can't quite tell.
So,
Other sorts have been happening to you?
No, not particularly. I mean, apart from being attacked by a ghost in the middle of the night, but that appears to be Mikhail's problem, not mine.
I think it might be yours, friend.
Oh, well, flippin' brilliant. Do you want to keep the ring? If that's got something to do with the ghost, I don't like ghosts, not a big fan. I'm not a thief.
I honestly believe you. I don't believe you are a thief.
Does your opinion particularly matter? Guard?
We'll take that ring, though.
So,
The guard comes over and unhandcuffs him and says, well, clearly you have nothing on you worth holding, and if you don't mind us taking the ring, then you are free to go, but if you wouldn't mind answering some questions for these overly curious children first, by all means, please do. And he goes, well, yes, now that they've stopped punching me. And he
I look
sort
at
of
him
reaches to the
and I
side of
say,
his head and goes, is anybody...
I'm truly sorry about that.
He points at Alara and he goes, you doing the things and you doing the things, and he points to Danietta. Was one of you capable of doing something about this? The big black eye and the bruise on the side of his head and gash on his arm. And
Cast your wounds on him.
thank you. And Danietta also raises a wand and does the same. And he looks a bit perkier and he says, would you mind if we chatted in the tavern, perhaps? If I'm not attacked by a ghost anytime soon, or a strange person, or anyone else. It's been the worst 2 days.
You
of the
certainly
last
won't be attacked by any ghosts, I can tell you that much.
Oh, well, that's good to know. Okay, right. Who's taking the ring, by the way, please?
Would it be okay if I take it?
Make an Arcana check, please.
Arcana check.
oh, he's doing the check.
19.
Yeah.
You most definitely know that this is the ring of Parissus. It
Okay,
is a ring used to contain spirits.
Alright, and I'm relaying this to the party.
Okay.
At this point.
Can we take a seat in the tavern, and perhaps you, gentlemen, I will take you up on that drink if you would.
Absolutely.
I'm so sorry, Colin, that I done that.
Fire whiskey, if you would. I know it's 9 a.m., but let's just say it's been a long 48 hours.
Also, you took one of my
how about some
punches.
breakfast as well.
Yes, I didn't even get to hand one back. He sort of shrugs himself off, and the cold breakfast that you've left on the table is now waiting you, and Adalia comes over and goes, can I... She looks around. Drinks?
Please.
Okay, fire water, fire whiskey for the gentleman here, and how about some breakfast for him as well? On me.
Sure. And the rest of you, some coffee?
I'll have wine, please.
Please, that would be very
Coffee
very
and a flagon of
welcome.
wine. I'll bring it out.
Yes.
And she heads over to the bar, and she starts relaying the instructions to the barman. And this time, he sort of takes his seat and takes a large gulp of the water on the table, and then reaches over and takes a sausage off of Alari's plate and begins to eat on it. And sort of nods to himself and goes, "Now, you had some questions. What can I do for you?"
I just sort of glare at him as I cast Cure Wounds on my wrist where he slashed me with a dagger.
He just sort of shrugs. Yeah, sort of the way it works.
He did get you pretty good, Kenna. He did get you pretty good.
So, questions. And he points at Leopold. You had a question?
Yeah, these two elves, you said the one that you got the ring from and the one you were also attacked by in your room. What
Yes.
can you tell us about these
Right, so
elves?
the elf I was given the ring by seemed a fairly chirpy gentleman, a little unusual, if you would. He was, say, 5'3". He had dark red hair, sort of shoulder length, and bright green eyes. He's not somebody I've seen around town before. Yeah, he wore a sort of standardish dark leather armor, a cape of green, and had the most fabulous bracelet on. He also wore sort of metal armbands on his shoulders that appeared to be of mithril. Quite fabulously adorned, I would say. Yeah, that's about as much as I can remember of him. He said his name was...
You said some armbands, bracelet type things.
Farsus his name was.
Sorry, say that again?
Farsus. Farsus. He said his name was. As for the gentleman that attacked me in the middle of the night, I didn't stop for conversation nor ask him his name. However, he had raven black hair, very short, and was dressed in all black cape, shadow cowl over his eyes, very little to be seen.
Okay. So you said something about some sort of braces on this?
Yes, the finest mithril I can tell from a distance when true mithril is in front of me.
I wonder if these were the braces that were mentioned as having gone missing as well.
Braces gone missing?
Yeah.
Now that you mention it, Karnuk, his braces? They could have been the spitting image of. In fact, they could have been the very same braces.
On this person
Yes,
that you just
yes,
described.
absolutely. I hadn't thought about it, but now you mention it, I've seen those braces before. Karnuk wears them.
Well, I can only say once again, I'm terribly, terribly sorry that you got caught up in all of this.
So
but
what you're telling me is I was asked to
found-
respect a ring by a thief?
Yes.
And then
Pretty much,
somebody tried to
yes.
assassinate me?
Yes, that sounds
Who
very
would ask for
accurate.
prospection and then assassinate the same person? Surely you'd get the service and then kill the damn person. What is with these
The
people,
person who
incompetent
did
thieves?
so- the person who did so, who tried to make an attempt on you last night, I have good reason to believe it's not the same person. It would not make sense for that to be the same person, would it?
As you're speaking, a shadowy portal appears to your left. A gentleman steps through. He is covered with a cowl over his face, dark, cloaked figure. And almost with no warning whatsoever, he raises his hand and a purple blade goes straight through the throat of the gentleman you're questioning. And almost instantaneously, he steps back through the portal, which closes behind him, leaving nothing but shadows.
Attack? Are we able to do anything like before that?
No, it came without warning and was instant. The gentleman beside you lies clearly dead.
Shit.
Oh shit.
Fuck. I don't think this can wait to
Within
see Meldranic
moments,
at this
a
point.
second portal opens next to it, a standard dimension door, and Meldranic, Danietta, and Celine all step through, come rushing on the scene and say, "Where did he go?"
He jumped through a portal and he was gone
Shadow
in an
portal
instant.
again.
Yes.
We detected
yes,
the magic.
that's-
We're too late, aren't we? And he looks at the. And he says,
Yes.
No, wait. Get him to the temple. Celine, take him, save him. And Celine gathers the gentleman up in his arms and carries him off. And Meldranic turns to the group and says, "You were speaking with him at the time. What happened? Is this who had the ring?"
This was indeed who had the ring, but it was not
But
who
that's
stole
Cullen.
the ring. It's not who stole the ring. He had the ring delivered unto him by another person.
To be prospected.
Yes, yes, and it was also the person who
I
has
knew
apparently
Colin was
been
in
stealing
town.
some
I'm
other
so
things.
slow! He gets quite angry at himself and he turns to Mikhail at the bar and he says, "A brandy, now!" And Mikhail comes running over with a glass of brandy and one for all of these. I should have had you in my rooms at 6 o'clock this morning. What was I thinking? So, the assassin is one of the silent. They come, they go, like this. No warning. And usually I have most rooms protected, but I haven't got around to protecting the tavern yet. It's not normally where people get assassinated. Nobody of importance stays in the bloody tavern. They stop at the castle. Another one! Through our fingers. Danietta, can you... And she begins to cast and see whether she can trace it, and then she shakes her head sadly and... He's gone, sir. Well, gents, this is the next line of work I was going to ask you to investigate. We've had more of the silent coming to and fro, and I believe we have an informant here in town.
And it seems like this task cannot wait any longer, like you would have
All the
hoped,
eyes
I
and
guess.
ears we can get would be good. There is a shady part of town that you may be aware of. Should you use the password Deathblade to the rear entrance, I will mark it here, and he marks a small bit on the town map towards the end of town, sort of near where you went to the abandoned house, actually. And he says, you know, down here is a bar of the nastiest sort. Although you may be known, all of you, none of you, particularly, well, perhaps with the exception of yourself, Brother Alari, none of you are particularly renowned for doing anything particularly noble or good, or you could pass for some of the more nefarious types, should you wish, if you would explore from the purpose of looking for work and etc. and just ask subtle questions, see whether you can find anybody who appears to be relatively new to town or particularly secretive, or by some miracle dressed in a black, well, like the assassin I'm sure you saw, head to toe in black, cowl over their eyes, they always look the same. If you manage to remove the cowl, what you will see is eyes of the blackest night, and they almost all appear elven with short black hair.
I think we'd be beyond coincidentally fortunate to find someone of that description.
Well, yes, but you know, it goes without saying, and if you do find one dressed as such, please do not attempt to engage in any manner, but merely report to me immediately. But if you could just ask about
how can we report to you so quickly? Do we have
yes, and he hands you a small whistle. He hands you a small whistle, and he says, in fact, and he hands you out 5 more. If you blow this whistle, this will ring in my mind, and I will be able to respond instantaneously by telepathy, and can be with you as quickly as you can tell me where you are.
Feels like a great responsibility, as it could be extremely irritating for you in the future.
Well, perhaps, but as I said, all the eyes and ears we can get right now. We believe that the Silent, who have been working honourably in the town for many, many, many years, and honestly in the country, they are known to be paid, and they are indeed assassins, spies, criminals, informants, but we can pay them as well as anybody else can. However, mysterious assassinations out of thin air? Definitely new. We believe perhaps that some higher influence is involved.
Oh.
On which note, speaking of higher influences, Lord Bantus himself has a very small request, if you wouldn't mind. It is very minor, but we are willing to give you 500 gold pieces if you're willing to do it. The young Lord Kelvar is up to his enormous mischievous tricks. If you would find out what it is he is looking for help with, and kindly let me know in time, or just let a standard guard know, just so we can be unawares. It would be most of a favour. Normally his pranks are not particularly nefarious or dangerous, and we normally let them slide. I mean, it's only a couple of weeks back that he hid a fish in the Lady Serena's room. Now that, of course, is harmless, but when he decided to plant a dagger under a particular gentleman's bed, you can understand why we're a little more careful.
Yeah.
So, if you could just offer a helping hand and let me know, or let a guard know, any guard will do, what exactly it is he has planned, that would be most wonderful.
Of course.
Well, at this rate, we seem to be meeting 3 times a day. Anything else I can do for you? In fact, you know what? I see you have breakfast. Mikhail, is there any chance another breakfast, please? Well, actually, I'm assuming this gentleman is no longer going to be eating his meal, and grim as it might be, I may just tuck in. If somebody could clean up a little bit around here. He sort of gestures at the blood on the chair. And he takes a seat and he said, Mikhail, could you kindly see that we won't be disturbed? And as the door closes, Mikhail raises his arm and a small sort of blue circle appears around you all. Nobody can hear in or out of this. Now, before anything, Leovold, you said you had some questions. What can I do for you?
Yes, 2 quick questions. I know it's incredibly unfortunate timing with the work you've given us, but you mentioned about a meeting tonight. Would that still be appropriate, or would you like to...
I think it is fair to say we are currently at that meeting right now.
Okay, very well.
Sorry for the camera loss. Carry on.
And this person that we're looking for as well, I know it's also a minor thing, like this job you asked of us, but this thief that we're looking for, you might... I wondered if you might be more familiar with who this person is. So
description,
we can,
if you have one?
If I could relay the description that was provided to me from...
His name, given to us by Colin, his name was Farsis.
Yes, or Calovius, or Any other standard elven name that you might wish to draw out of a hat? Well, in that case, while you are inquiring at Sly's, perhaps you might also inquire about said thief. Perhaps you may even enlist. I tell you what, it is well known that the Lord Jasper keeps the finest of silverware teaspoons. They are quite almost priceless. If you could ask about if somebody might be willing to steal them for you. Perhaps, Lucius, you are known to have some money behind you. Perhaps you might inquire. It may even be this Farsus Colovius, etc., that takes the job, at which point, if you could just inform me that he will be taking it, I'll be lying in wait. 6 months we've been trying to catch this thief, but recently it's really stepped up. I understand he took Carnook's braces, which means you cannot engage him in direct combat, as you will find he has the strength of many, many men.
I know I said it seemed like a minor thing, but it seems like it's a bit more major than I expected.
Well, it's just frustrating. I mean, things disappearing doesn't really bother me until it becomes people, but it would be helpful, yes.
It's just another thing to set right in Drathnor, you know?
Yep,
So
and
it's
you had
something
another
I'd
question,
love to
Leopold.
get to the bottom of.
What was your other question?
So I believe the best thing for me to ask of now at this point would be this task you wish of us with this, with seeking these silents. What can you tell me of the silent that you are?
So, the Silent are, as you may well know, an operation that runs across the whole continent. They are not bound to any country. They have no loyalty to any king. However, they are well connected and often very expensive. They are capable as spies, as criminals, as smugglers, as common thieves, as merchants. Should you wish to sell something, buy something, purchase information, purchase a death, they operate somewhat within the realms of the law. They usually have some form of honor. They tend not to assassinate anybody directly associated to royalty. They tend not to, they let the majority of royalty know of any jobs they will be doing, albeit by a piece of paper we cannot respond to, but they do at least let us know that jobs have been executed. Recently, these letters have not corresponded with the assassinations. However, we do know that some of the assassinations have been requested through the Silent. They have told us that they have declined the job, and soon after, the assassination happens anyway. Sometimes we are able to protect the people, sometimes we are not, sometimes the letter arrives after the death of the person, but nevertheless. One of their main bases of operation is in Maladeth, to our east. It is certainly where you'd find the largest concentration of not only the Silent, but also of every other organization that runs internationally, if you would.
And this behavior of theirs is unprecedented, then?
Unprecedented, irrational, and impertinent. And, to be quite honest, terrifying.
They clearly have a very high bidder.
At the mention of
a very
Maladeth,
rich backer. Carry on, Lucius.
at the mention of Maladeth, I'll take my leave for now.
You are wishing not to be present?
I'm going to head back to my home, my room. Hearing all this, seems I have to prepare other things.
If you would remain with us for just a couple more minutes, Lucius, as I believe some of this information may remain to you. Are you fearful for your home? Or for your family, perhaps? What is left of it?
I have no family. My father was my family.
Yes.
He's gone now.
Not even a cousin. Okay, well, very well. Is there anything I can do to assist, perhaps to protect?
If you know a way to erase a name, then sure.
I have my talents, and that is perhaps stretching them. It depends. The nature of this, is this something you would wish to speak to about in private, or would you perhaps request that I did ask no more questions? We're all entitled to our secrets, of course.
As of right now, Master Maladeth. No, that's the wrong name. Maldrenic. Let's just cease questioning for now. don't worry, I'm going to return. I just, at the mention of having to go to the more seedy part of town, I believe a different dress is in order.
Yes, I would understand. If you would bear with
Yeah.
me a couple more minutes, I would just like you to be present so we are all speaking together. Enough of the silent and of maladeth. Were there any other questions you had of me? I sense, and he looks at Maverick and at Brother Alari. The two of you are looking slightly shifty. Is there something you wish to disclose?
My stomach turns
No.
at seeing a man killed while breaking bread.
Okay.
Other than that, it
Perhaps
can
not
wait.
the uncomfortableness I was referring to, but alas, okay. Well, in that case,
Uncomfortableness.
yes, perhaps the two of them are a little less adept at lying as the rest of you. Nothing. Leopold, we have been very honest with each other here. Is there something you wish to tell me?
I'm just interested by you saying about less adept at lying, considering how well comparatively little I have actually lied. I'm actually interested about why you would be of that conclusion, at least. But
Let's just say each time I appear, some of you look a little bit troubled.
yes.
Why Cullen?
Why, Colin? Somebody asks a good question. Distracting, of course, as this is not what we were talking about, but why Cullen indeed? Now, Cullen prospects jewelry, yes. But he is also the son of a rather rich family in Telluria. Perhaps a political move. Perhaps merely a strange request. Perhaps a jilted lover. Cullen did like her to sleep with married men. But why Cullen is a very good question, and perhaps one I may be able to answer more easily than you, but again, think on this. Now, referring to the previous situation, each time I appear, some of you seem fairly troubled. Do I trouble you?
I have no interest in keeping secrets for very long, as it makes communicating harder. Do you guys want to just go ahead and come clean?
Ah, so there is a come clean. Most interesting. Well, let's just say if you've done something you shouldn't have, then we may be able to put it aside so that you can continue in your assistance of me, and if you've learned something you shouldn't have, perhaps I already know of it, and if perhaps you are doing something you shouldn't be, then maybe you shouldn't be doing it. Shall we discuss this openly? What is it, Brother Alari, that you are thinking of coming clean about?
Record, I don't believe in things that I'm not allowed to learn. And for your question...
A philosophy I very much endorse.
Of course. We happened to meet your ex.
An ex-lover.
When we say
I believe that would be
that's-
impossible. Unless
When
I've
we say
missed
that,
something.
there's a thing that we discovered which is extremely old, and by extremely, it's
The necklace?
possibly a millennia.
The necklace?
This is kind of how we realized your identity of not being
Oh my.
as such human, and that was before you even revealed to us just what the Lord himself was.
Clamsecor.
Let's just say it's made us all feel a bit cagey around you.
Clamsecor. She was the finest of lovers. And I was never able to keep her by my side as she wished, for she would have seen far more than I could possibly allow, and perhaps have never loved me again. But I could never quite bring myself to part with it, and then, some 10 years ago, I was here, maybe. Maybe is that where you found it? You found it here, in the tavern?
Yes, or
How
at
could it
least
lie so
never looks-
unnoticed for so long? Because that is the last time I would have taken off my person. If I'm honest, tend not to sleep with one woman while wearing another on my hip. I don't suppose it was still within the bag.
The bag is a particularly interesting thing as well.
Yes, I thought you might say that. These were once my own. And one of the few memoirs I have left of a time where I could fly free. It would seem that it has come to the time where disclosing my nature may be necessary, for I was once a dragon, a golden dragon. 1600 years I have been consigned to human form. A bargain gone awry, one might say. One might say that is why I am so affiliated with the Celestials nowadays, as that is indeed who the bargain was with. I agreed to remain in human form. They agreed that I would maintain my power in different form. And, well, yes, Kamsaka was my lover. And, well, I suppose you can't have told her anything I didn't want to know, as you didn't know anything at the time. I can see why this may have been a sensitive issue and why you might have been fearful of revealing this to me. I don't suppose by any chance you have the necklace on you now.
We do.
I shall pay most handsomely for its return, both with the bag as well. Perhaps a couple of items that may assist you, and some gold.
Why do you want her now?
A memoir I've carried with me for some 1100 years. I wouldn't want to be parted with it. I've been searching for it since I lost it. Unfortunately, due to the fact that I left it inside a bag that conceals magic, searching for it by magical means was near impossible.
You didn't think to come to the last place that you would have taken off. You abandoned her.
I did search this room, but I did not find it.
You buried it under a floorboard and didn't remember where it was?
It was hidden under the bed, but the bed had been, if you remember, there were parts of wood around the bed.
So
you still hid it under a bed.
I did not hide it under a bed. I merely took it off and placed it on the nightstand. But if under the bed you found it, perhaps it was knocked down. I seem to remember when I returned that the bed was boarded in. I didn't think. Merely a change of furniture, and it slips my mind these days. I would say I'm getting old, but I've kind of lost the definition of that word. Getting slow. I miss things all the time.
I guess that definition gets a little bit unusual when
3,700 years I've been on this land. Sometimes
doesn't compare to our lifespan.
Forgetting things occasionally happens, unfortunately.
Why are you telling us all this?
Well, realistically, you asked enough questions of Kamsaka, you saw me do enough things, and I've told you that I don't have a true form. How long was it till you overly curious people worked something out? And as I said, I want you to work for me. I offered you a gesture of trust. I merely didn't tell you of my own form because I couldn't prove it. But, well, perhaps this tells some stories. And to be honest, I'm tired of secrets. Secrets is everything in this court. It is always secrets. It is always secretive. Sometimes it is good just to simply ask for assistance. And on which note, if these would suffice, and he holds out a wand, 2 necklaces, and a pair of braces, and a pouch containing a large sum of gold, and a second pouch in which he says you can keep the items that you may wish, and much else besides. Perhaps this will assist you in your assisting me.
Don't really have any problem giving the necklace to him, but I also feel like maybe it's not up to us.
Perhaps you wish to raise that with him?
Or with her.
No, but I mean, perhaps you wish to raise the fact you'd like to raise it with her with him? Because I can't really respond to that in my own form. And it's fair to say anything you say at the table will be heard.
May we have a moment, Maldronic?
You wish to speak to her?
And each other.
I'm more than happy to allow you a moment to speak to each other, but I would say perhaps it has come time that I also speak to her.
A nice reunion.
Well, a strange one at least.
Just, Maldronic, why didn't you give her a chance to choose?
Well, back then I had to hold my secrets a little more tightly. I was under suspicion and had to make sure that nobody knew anything of me. And then keeping secrets becomes a habit, and habits are hard to break, and perhaps also I didn't wish to be reminded of my more vulnerable moments.
Even after all this time after death, she's waited for you.
And you abandoned her. You left her to rot in a room.
Not only that, she rotted in a pouch for 1,000 years. Yes, perhaps I see your point, but you must understand, day to day I make thousands of very, very difficult decisions. Sometimes what I think is for the best seems for the best until somebody innocent and young and with a fresh mind such as yourselves comes and reminds me that I'm quite the opposite of infallible, and mistakes I make regularly.
Well, how about it? Let us let the lady out.
Okay, I reach into the pack, and I use an arrow to hook it and hold it out so that I'm not touching it.
Her face appears between the necklace, and a tear rolls down Maldronic's face. He says, Kamsakar. She says, Maldronic? He says, yes, I have lied to you in so many ways, and that will be explained later, but these people wish to know that I was going to tell you my true story. Suffice to say for now that I hid many things from you. First of all, that I was once a dragon. And she sort of looks over in hypocrisy and goes, a dragon? Why? That explains a lot. You were always obsessed with them. But little did I realize that you were merely obsessed with communicating with your own kind. But it explains some other things too. You speak of some things as if they were yesterday, and it's quite impossible that you know them whatsoever. And why did you hide this from me? And he sort of shakes his head and turns to you guys and says, their guess is as good as mine. Because I'm a fool, and because I make mistakes, because I was frightened, because I didn't want to lose you, because I didn't want to lose me. Many reasons. But perhaps some of these might be spoken of in a little more privacy, and he looks over at Maverick.
What? Why are you looking at me?
Well, you seemed very obstinate that I was incorrect and I had left her and I had dishonored her, but...
You did. That's not
yes,
incorrect, that's a fact.
I'm not disagreeing with you, but perhaps you and the rest of you who have been so direct might grant me some privacy in the rest of my reunion.
I think that can be arranged.
Yeah.
Hold it out to him so that he can take it.
He strokes the side of the necklace lovingly, closes the necklace but holds it in his hand, to which you would know that she can still communicate with him. And he closes his eyes, and you can see that he's going through many emotions. His face changes from moment to moment. At this moment, awkwardly, Adalia walks over and sort of looks strangely at Maldronic and then begins clearing plates really sheepishly in the side.
More wine, please.
Sorry, level first, yeah.
I'd probably stand up and proceed to head towards upstairs and motion over for more privacy for Maldronic.
About what time is it right now?
Your guess is as good as mine. 2:30, 3? It's afternoon.
Okay.
Your breakfast was quite late.
Give him some more.
Are you guys headed up to the room together, or is anybody remaining at the table?
I'm going to stay at the table. I want to, as far as I want to study this man's face.
Understood.
And I'm going to ask for more wine. I need to enjoy the show.
She brings a ewer over of wine. Is anybody else remaining at the table with Lucius?
Yes.
I'll leave, but I will also get some more wine and just sort of fuck off.
Okay, Rook, Brother Alari, Leovold, and Maverick, is that correct? You're going upstairs as well?
No, I'll stay at the table.
The three of you head upstairs. We'll stay with you for now. As you head into your room, Leovold, Alari, and Rook, you are together.
I just thought it would be best to give him some more privacy. I know he can communicate candidly without us knowing what they're talking about, but it feels more respectful this way.
Get a hold of him if we need him.
He can always come. He can always come and find us when he's done.
For the first time, I actually feel like I trust this man.
Yeah. A lot of people have come clean on a lot of things, and there's a lot that's been said which has a great magnitude. To be fair, the burden of knowledge that's been placed upon us, how can we not trust him at this point when we know all of this that very few people have?
Better be on his good side and his bad side.
Well, I certainly know one person not to make angry. That's a very, very dangerous person to make angry.
Agreed.
Yeah.
At this moment, we resume with Lucius, Maverick, and Kennel. Maldranic's face, after going through all myriads of emotions, resumes. He places the necklace gently inside his normal pouch, not inside the dragon scale pouch. The dragon scale pouch he places in a different pocket, and he sort of slides the items he'd previously placed on the table towards you guys and says, the others have made their way?
They're just upstairs.
Fair. Well, as I said, if you wouldn't mind checking out this goblin cave just outside of town. It really is more important than you might think. We can't have goblins quite this close to town, and it may be a good time for you to earn some money and perhaps test your mettle, so to speak. As I said, you'll find purple luminescent mushrooms at the back of the cave. If you wouldn't mind, it would be great. You may find that pouch there quite useful for holding them. And thank you again for telling me this and bringing this to me. I appreciate it. Any other questions from the three of you?
This whistle, you mentioned telepathically. Can we communicate that way, back and forth?
A voice speaks
Anytime.
into your mind. Yes. Just think your thought out clearly. All three of your minds. Just think out loud clearly, and your thought will be made obvious. I cannot necessarily start searching inside your minds, nor do I have the time to do so. But you would be aware of that should I start delving. But as you blow the whistle, yes, I may be able to speak telepathically into your mind, just like this. It requires quite a lot of focus on my part. If you don't get a response immediately, it may mean that I'm engaged elsewhere or using my powers elsewhere, but you will get a response as soon as I can. Sometimes if you are in a place that I know well, I may just come, if that is okay. Although, if it is your own bedroom, fear not. But yes, just like this. And then he resumes speaking out loud, and he says, I'm sorry if you find that disconcerting, but for me it is somewhat quicker.
It's fine.
Any other questions, young ones, before I depart?
I'm quite content. Can I?
There is perhaps one more secret you should be aware of. You worked closely with the Lady Celine. Some secrets are her own to tell, but it is suffice to say you may have noticed that she is of elven heritage. She appears a little older than she is a lot of the time, and you may notice that she is a master of disguise. She has been working for King Naris for a long, long time, and is his personal representative here in town. Your king is not called Naris, is it? Sorry. Names. King Vanyan, sorry. She is King Vanyan's direct representative here in the town, and should you ever doubt me, or the Lord and his lady, or perhaps anyone else, Celine is rather capable of dealing with most things. She's not quite as powerful in the ways of magic, but I tell you what, she can certainly unravel a mystery.
That is good to know. Thank you.
And with that, if it is okay, I will take my leave, as there are many things I must attend to. Perhaps we'll skip on the dinner this evening, but should you manage to retrieve the purple mushrooms, or should you find anything out about the Silent, or indeed about our thief, if you pop to Danietta's, that is the mystical and magical stop in town, and just let her know. She is an agent of mine and a close friend, and if I'm honest, has a little bit more time than I do on my hands, and she will relay the information. You can, of course, come to visit me in my chambers, but unless it's drastically important, and at that point blow the whistle, don't come. Perhaps that may be a better idea. And with that, good day.
I give a deep bow as always.
Upon the table, you find 2,000 gold pieces, 2 necklaces of fireballs, a braces of defense +1, and a wand. And I've completely forgotten what the wand was, so please bear with me a second while I find out. It is a wand of lightning bolts. However, as you take this wand, Lucius, it is clear that this is not usable by somebody who is a sorcerer or a wizard, and is instead only usable by somebody who is not. It is perhaps to allow a little bit of magical assistance to those who do not use the magical powers most regularly. Perhaps somebody who has no spellcasting ability whatsoever would find this far easier to use. That is, it effectively appears like a martial weapon. But when used, it instead fires a lightning bolt. And with that, we shall call it an evening. We shall assume that the 6 of you convene for lunch, take a short rest, and breakfast, lunch, brunch, afternoon tea, whatever we're calling this, brandy and wine by the looks of it.
We've done nothing today but eat.
Eat, drink, and make merry, and quite a lot of other useful stuff. So, the 6 of you will be found together in said tavern next week. Which brings us to the MVP of the day, and I will first come to Rook. Who was your MVP of the session? Or what was your MVP of the session? Okay, well, we can return to you, Brother Alari.
My MVP of the session is sexual tryst within inns.
Leovold?
There's a lot to be said.
This one?
Just for the sheer interesting moment of it, and just the wowness of it, just the assassin shadow stepping.
I was going to say the same thing.
Okay. Kenna?
I would say my favorite moment was when the door was opened and the Lord was just sitting right there.
That was good, yeah.
And Maverick?
Probably my awful deception rolls.
Yep, they were pretty good. Lucius?
Elvira.
I liked Elvira. She was fun. Return to Rook.
Yeah, actually, I forgot about that for the moment. When we opened the door, because I couldn't stop laughing when you said he was sitting on the bed.
My MVP for the day was not the fact that Bantus was there waiting, but Maverick's reaction, which was so calm, So, oh, good evening, my lord.
It's just a pity that my deception skills weren't as good as my talking.
It was just sort of like, well, hi, how are you doing? Sorry, I've just popped into your room through a locked door.
I
How are you
made
doing?
it.
I don't know what the guards were doing. They were just wandering around. Who knows? It was brilliant. I loved that. And so also, thank you very much for playing, guys. I hope you've had a good session.
Loved it.
Good.
Yes.
I'm glad. I'm glad. We shall be resuming next week, same time, 11:30 p.m. GMT or 6:30 p.m. EST. We will be raiding, so please come and say hello to my good friend Zaki Wack, who is the DM for SAS. If you don't know SAS are a group of friends of ours. Zaki Wack is the DM. Who put on a fantastic campaign. They're down to only 3 players in the DM, and it's almost all theatre of the mind. And the commitment to the characters, to the role-playing, to the depth of the story is something really worth watching. So if you don't know them, there is their YouTube. You can follow them on Loch Ness's Twitch every other Wednesday evening. But it's quite late even for an American. Or, as I said, you can catch up with YouTube. They also have catch-up content on YouTube, so you can sort of catch up on 23 episodes almost within half an hour to 45 minutes. They summarize various stuff. So well worth watching. Please bring some love and bring your ducks with you. And that leaves us to say goodbye. So it's goodbye from me and goodbye from these guys.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Yeah, goodbye.
Bye.